Welcome back to part 3 of the Splatoon Iceberg. If this is your first time here, please go back and watch the other two, because this is a really cool iceberg, and you deserve to go watch it all. If you are here for part 3, then let's get right into it. Oh, and stay to the end for some quick channel announcements. Deadfish missing music numbers 3, 7, 10, 15, 17, and 18. So in the Deadfish catalog, there are songs numbered 1 through 19, yet however, the numbers 3, 7, 10, 15, 17, and 18 are not there, implying that they were taken out of the game. That's the common theory, that they were just removed from the game, but my theory is that they never existed in the first place, and this is just done to add some feel to Octo Expansion that something's just not right, which it already does well enough by itself, but I think this is just a cherry on top. Raspy voice in Salmon Run Shoal isn't a big deal like it sounds like it is. So basically there's this glitch in Salmon Run when you play it at the shoal that Mr. Grizz's dialog box will come up as someone called Raspy Voice, and we actually see this when Splatoon 2 is first being revealed. Before we get Mr. Grizz's name, they just call him Raspy Voice, and when you go through the shoal to play Salmon Run in local play, he's referred to as Raspy Voice through some glitch or something. There's not much to this one besides an innocent glitch. Head Invisible is a prototype item in Splatoon that was originally made for the original rabbit models. It's just a little visor with a rabbit on it. That's it. I think it would be really cool though to see this in-game as a reference to the original rabbit concept though. That just sounds kind of interesting. Ruins of Arc Polaris was a failed space colonization attempt. Comes from the fact that there is a spaceship in the background of Ruins of Arc Polaris, and it just kind of sets up, it's basically all but confirmed that this was a spaceship attempt to get people off of Earth during the Great Flooding, which started Splatoon. So yeah, this is all but confirmed. This is a real thing, and it just goes to show how deep and creepy the Splatoon lore can really get. Spike and Merch eat super sneeze snails is a widely believed theory that due to all of the dead super sea snails by and around Spike and Merch, or that they just carry around with them, that they're killing them to eat them. There's not much more than that besides the fact that it's really creepy and they take these as a currency, so maybe think twice about spending all those sea snails with Spike and Merch. Wait, can you still spend sea snails to Spike? Who knows? Exclusive music for Koro Koro Gear trailer is a really cool sound bit that comes from the Koro Koro Emperor Gear trailer, and I wish this made it to game because it sounds really cool. It sounds like it's from the in-game band Sashimori. It's a really cool sound to it, and I'll leave a link so you can check it out. The inside of the griller is really disturbing. So inside the griller, there are actually chum salmonoids and corn being cooked alive inside of the griller. Like fully rendered chum salmonoids in the griller, just getting cooked alive while they're out in combat. So I don't know, it sounds to me like we're doing them a favor when we get them out of there. References in different series. This is just the idea that Splatoon is referenced across different series like TV shows or other games. There's not much here, it's pretty self-explanatory. However, I did find this one thing from a show called New Game where it very clearly shows something that looks like Splatoon 3. I don't know. I don't think there's any relation to actual Nintendo here, but like, I don't know, I think it's pretty crazy if we've just seen the logo for Splatoon 3 and we don't even know it yet. Who knows though? Sanitized Octarians are copies from original Octarians doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or it's just worded poorly, because when an Octoling or Octarian is sanitized, it loses all sense of personality and all basic vital signs, so mostly it's just not alive, and we can tell from the Agent 3 fight near the end of Octo Expansion that when something is sanitized, it loses all sense of will, and can be controlled directly by Tartar, which is probably what's happening with every Octarian. So, theory disproven, I guess, maybe? Or maybe I'm just not understanding it well. If you understand, leave a comment. Spider-Man appearing in Volume 2 of Squid Kid's comedy show is something that I believe, but I can't find anything on it, mostly because I don't have a copy of Squid Kid's comedy show Volume 2, or any of them for that matter. But I buy it, but I just can't show any proof of it, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess, unless you can find it somewhere else. Turf War indoctrinates kids is the theory that Turf War exists to get kids interested in fighting the Octolings in a big turf war, like there were in the Great Turf Wars that brought about the Splatoon. It's basically the idea that since they're having turf war sport battles, that it's just the Splatoon government's way of indoctrinating kids to become future soldiers, which I don't think so, because there hasn't been anything implying that they're on the verge of a big battle, besides the Octolings just having like covert operations to steal the Great Sapfish every now and then, but even then there doesn't look like there's any signs of a full-on war happening soon. But I think that would be cool to play through. The location of the Interagent 3 fight is honestly a really good question because I have no idea where this is and I can't find any clue as to where this actually is. It's someplace to explore in Splatoon 1, maybe, but there's no clue or hint as to where it is besides the fact that it's got references to Callie and Marie. But that could be any place because there are tons of references to them all over Splatoon 1, so yeah, no idea where this is. My apologies if you couldn't see that one, it's very small in the iceberg picture. It says unused weapon files in the files of Mario Maker, and this is actually really cool. There are tons of unused images for weapons that should be in Splatoon 1, like a revolver, and it's just pretty cool. It's I don't know how they got there, but there are references to unused weapons from Splatoon 1 and Mario Maker. It's pretty short and simple, but it could have had some cool implications. I think a revolver type weapon that would like shoot mid-range and fire once every shot, like boom, 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 boom. I think that'd be pretty cool in game, and hopefully we see something like that in a sequel. Scripted extended dialogue cutscene in Splatoon 1 Final Boss is something that I found literally nothing about. So, yeah, that's it. DJ Octavio's human form is something that we know exists because we've seen it before in Sunken Scrolls, but it's not something we've seen in-game yet, and maybe in a sequel we'll see it, but I don't know, I don't want DJ Octavio to be the villain for a third game in a row. Ringing phones in Inkblot Art Academy is a random event that'll happen in the map Inkblot Art Academy during Splatfest, and you can hear it especially well in Recon. So basically there are two phone booths in the map that can ring at random times, and you can hear a distorted Octoling voice in the background. What this actually means, I don't know, but maybe we could see something on it in the future considering how the screaming Octoling voices in Splatoon 1 ended up being related to Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. It's really creepy, and the amount of creepy things that have led to the future story events now is weird. Ghostly Giggles in Museum d'Alfonsino during Splatfest is the second creepiest thing Splatoon has ever created, right next to the Blender and Octo expansion. So basically in Splatoon 1's Museum d'Alfonsino, if you stand in the middle of the map, you can hear two little girls, not Octolings like you usually hear laughing, whether you die in the campaign or in some random maps. No, these are human-sounding children, young girl children, just laughing creepily in Museum d'Alfonsino, but it only happens during Splatfest, so there's no way to go back and see this anymore, but there are tons of videos about this, and it is so freaking creepy. Unused Now or Never in Splatoon 1's demo is another reminder of how much Splatoon music I have not seen or heard. It's It's hard to describe because it does not fit Splatoon at all. Actually, it sounds like some of the newer music they added in Splatoon 2, but it's definitely not a now or never type song where it makes you feel all hyped up to finish the game. It's more of like, oh no, everything's burning around you, than it is super hype, super fun, super just want to ink everything on the ground. I'll leave it a link in the description. You should check it out because it's weird to see where Splatoon 1 really started off and where it got to, and it's much better the way it is now. NILS is the Statue of Liberty is a theory that because the NILS statue and the Statue of Liberty are both statues, then they must be the same thing, is basically the whole theory, and it's pretty easily disproven by the shape of the two statues. And there's this really cool Reddit thread that actually goes on to explain how the NILS statue is probably more of a statue of David based on the hair than the Statue of Liberty is with its hair. And I'll post some pictures in the video about it. Demonic screams in Splatoon 1's bosses is one of those things that make you wonder who on earth rated this game E10+. So, if you wait around in the Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2 boss rooms long enough, you will hear a train sound followed by screaming, which correlates to octolings getting grounded up into ooze and used in Tartar's Primordial Ooze. Yeah, this is a kid's game. This is 100% a kid's game, and in kids' games, we love to hear the sounds of people getting grounded up into ooze. I love that in all of my kids' games. Nothing better than throwing people in a blender, am I right? Yeah, I am. So, a little less gruesome than the last one. Mr. Grizz is a grizzly bear. It's a theory that since Mr. Grizz communicates on a bear-shaped radio, then he's probably a bear, along with just having the name Mr. Grizz, which probably correlates to the fact that when we see him for real in-game, he will probably end up being a bear. Unused Big Sanitized Octo Trooper is an unused boss from Octo Expansion, and it's a big Octo Trooper with some itty bitty little legs. And those legs are probably the reason it got cut from the game, even though having this thing in-game would be super cool. I'll leave a link to the video of it actually being played. It's got like this cool stingray that shoots out of its eyes. But yeah, this thing didn't get very far into development. Alrighty, that was episode 3 of the Splatoon Iceberg. We have one more part to go, even though I know in the beginning I said I was going to do 6 parts. But I just thought I'd break these off into 2 sections at a time. Sorry for the extended delay between part 2 and part 3. I had some stuff I had to get done, like getting my first shot of the COVID vaccine, which I can confirm does not, in fact, turn you into a dinosaur. I was pretty disappointed about that. But I went snowmobiling too, and that was pretty fun. First time this year. I have to tell you guys, these things are getting harder and harder to research the more down we go. And there's one at the absolute bottom that I've been obsessed with finding out. And honestly, it might even become its own video. I've put some posts out on Reddit about it, trying to find out what this thing is, and I just can't find it. It's been killing me this whole time I've been making this iceberg, but yeah, also this may be the last time this channel doesn't have an official outro because I've been talking with a pretty cool guy about making an outro for me who likes to comment Colin Moment on the time. He's a pretty cool guy, must say. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode, and I will see you guys back sometime this week. I think I'm gonna start doing 2 uploads a week instead of every 2 days. Yeah, see ya.